Thank you, Colin.
Well, I expect many of you have already seen Gordon's one dab bike around on Sammy's stand together with GOV 132. I suppose it's fair to say that they're the two most famous trials bikes ever.
Sam did a wonderful job restoring the bike. It's just like it was given to me by the factory in 1961. So yes, Sam's done a wonderful job. I can't thank him enough for that.
Well, I know the search for the bike took it was quite a story really, because I can remember talking to you several years ago and someone came up about 187 BLF and you believed it was in Australia or New Zealand.
Yes, well what happened about 15 years ago, I asked the late Rafe Venables if he could help me find the bikes. I'd have liked to have had it back. And we traced the bike back when I retired from AJS. Gordon Blakeway took the bike over. And when he retired 2 years later, he bought the bike from AMC's. He in turn sold it to Bob Golner, who rode it for a year or so, and then he sold it to a guy in the Midlands, but that's where the story ended. And so it was off the radar for 40 years virtually, and then in January of last year, a gentleman rang Sam up and said that he'd got a collection of bikes, one of which was 187 BLF. Well, Sam went to see it and it wasn't all there and he didn't buy it. But in May of last year, the guy contacted him again and said, I found the logbook, found a lot more bits, so Sam went up and bought it. And then he asked me to go up to verify it was the bike, which I did. And then Sam has rebuilt it just like brand new. So it's the end of the story, really. Really marvellous.
But it's not the end of your story, really, Gordon, because, well, in fact, it's towards the end of your trials career. But you were very loyal to AJS. In fact, I don't believe you rode with any other badge as a fully fledged works rider. I know you had a dabble on a Greaves and so on, but we won't count that. In the heyday of the British motorcycle sport, it was AJS and AJS only?
Yes, well I suppose the two things. I was in North Kent and AMC's were at Plumstead, so it was only about 12-14 miles to the factory. Hugh Viney gave me my chance, so I was very grateful for that. And I always had good machines. They always gave me a good scramble bike and a good trials bike, so I was there until I decided to retire. So yes, I didn't want to go anywhere else.
Well, but in those days BSA were very prone to buy the opposition. If you were good enough to beat any of the BSA team, they really wanted to get them on board. Did they never come looking for you?
Yes, I could have gone to BSA, but then, you know, it was when Jeff Smith, Brian Martin were all there, and I think if you lived near the factory, you probably got preferential treatment. And as the factory for me was 13 miles away, 12-14 miles away, whereas BSA was right from the Midlands with a long way to go, I decided to stay where I was.
Very good. And going back to the 61 Scottish, 50 years ago, it's amazing, isn't it? 50 years ago, and this year's the 100th anniversary of the Scottish. But obviously that's gone down in trials folklore as a really memorable time. Is that your most memorable ride, memorable achievement?
Yes, I suppose it is, but that's the one that gets all the publicity because it's just the one mark. But I think when I won it in 1956, I won it by a much bigger margin. But, you know, yes, the one dab I suppose is the special one.
Well, any Scottish win is special, Gordon, and you had 4 of them, so well, I think that's marvellous.
Yeah, I suppose I was perhaps had the right temperament, probably, and I used to enjoy the Scottish. I've never been to the TT week. I never had a chance because when I was farming with my father, that was always strawberry time, so I never got a chance to go. But people say the Scottish was like TT. You're involved for the whole week, and so I suppose yes, you were biking for a week and thoroughly enjoyed it. So
he then went on to 4 wheels and became British Experts Champion again in car trials. Obviously, there's quite a bit of a difference in that, really.
Yes, I suppose the throttle control helped from the bikes to the cars. The only reason I did it because I was 30 when I retired, and I started farming on my own. I couldn't do two things properly, and I'd been watched the car trial, and I realised that was a winter time sport, whereas the bikes was every weekend all the year round, because it was trials in the winter, scrambles in the summer. So also I thought perhaps I could educate my wife to come and be my bouncer, which I did in due course, and so we had a lot of fun doing that. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, considerable success, but what I've seen of you in a car, in the case of throttle control, I think there's more clutch control. Very forceful man in a car, I can assure you. Of your opposition, obviously Sam came on when you were well into your career and have been a major, but who else, what shall I say, were your sort of heroes in a way?
Well, I suppose I was in an era with sort of Gordon Lakeway, Ron Langston, Johnny Giles, Hugh Vine and Bob Mans were getting to the end of their career, and Bob Ray. So we were the young ones coming in then. But the nice thing, Johnny Britton of course, I mean, the nice thing is that a lot of us are here this weekend and we're all still good pals. We all rode to win, obviously, but it was done in a friendly way. We're all good pals to this very day, so that's the nice thing about it. I can think nearly all my best pals are my biking pals, and a lot of them here today, so that's good.
Yeah, this is your first trip to Righty's Telford show, isn't it?
Yes,
yes. You're obviously quite impressed.
Very, yes. I think that's a wonderful collection of people, wonderful collection of bikes. Yeah, I'm very impressed.
Yeah, it is a fabulous do, and I'm sure everybody's going to have a fabulous time. You mentioned a little bit about your scrambling, or motocross as they say. You got one or two stories from that, I'm sure, that these people would like to hear.
Well, yes, there are one or two stories. One in particular, I went to a motocross Figeac in France along with Jeff Ward and Les Archer, and after it was all over, we finished 1, 2, 3. I think I was third, the others were, I can't think of it was Jeff or Les who won. But we went to the presentation afterwards, and then there was a sort of a forerunner to the disco, this sort of dancing and things, and Jeff thought that I was rather naive and I needed educating with the young ladies. So they thought they were going to fix me up with the young lady, but when I heard, I was out the door like a flash and back to the hotel, because they were sort of two rather shady characters when it came to the ladies, so I was a bit put off by that.
That's the story he's telling us.
It's a true one. True last Jeff.
Yeah. Obviously, living where you did in Kent, continental trips were fairly comfortable, fairly easy. You, in fact, did one, I believe, finished Scotland on the Saturday presentation, and then rode again on the Sunday in France.
Yeah, Johnny Giles and I, we finished the Scottish. We got a plane from Edinburgh to London, having the previous week taken my pickup, 2 scramblers, took it to Orly Airport, just left it in the car park, locked it up, and we got back on finished the Scottish, flew to Heathrow, changed planes, and then we got to Orly about midnight, went in the car park, got in the pickup, off we went. We drove all night to Van in sort of Brittany, rode on Sunday. We were both knackered. I think Andy Lee may have won it, and I think John was 4th and I was 5th, but it was a good weekend, a lot of fun.
You fellas really worked well for your money, as I've always admired. Thank you very much for coming and sharing a few experiences with us all. Let's give him a round of applause, please.
Thank you, Colin. It's been a pleasure.